Good morning and welcome to the Students Discussion Forum, where we will host and promote healthy conversation between students of Class 12th on the topic the world and the pandemic COVID during and after. Being a controversial and current affair, we're sure to hear multiple sides and stories about the ongoing crisis. The students present would like to enlighten everyone with the various aspects of this topic. Without further ado, let us begin the program by invoking the blessings of the Almighty by a prayer from Amna of 12th O.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful. Honor of the day of judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and thee alone do we ask for help. Show us the straight path, the path of those who have earned your favor, and not the path of those who earn thine anger, and nor of those who go astray.
Thank you, Amna. Great crises produce great men and great deeds of courage. Honorable Chief Guest, Guest of Honor, Head of Sections, School officials, teachers, panelists, and of course, my dear friends. A very pleasant morning to everyone present here. I, Tanishka, deem it an honor to welcome you all to the Students Discussion Forum 2020. It is my privilege to welcome our Chief Guest, Mrs. Hamida Kader, Principal, MES Indian School, to this forum. I take this opportunity to welcome our guest of honor, Mrs. Annama Shami, Vice Principal, Head of Section Girls, to today's program. I wholeheartedly welcome Mr. Muhammad Ilyas, Vice Principal and Head of Section Boys officiating, Mrs. Sumaya Nasir, Head of Section Junior, Mrs. Lalita Srinivas, Head Mistress KG, and Heads of Departments to this wondrous session. It is my pleasure to welcome the school officials, teachers, panelists, and my dear friends to this splendid forum. Once again, I welcome you all to today's marvelous discussion. MES Indian School has never forgotten to nurture leadership qualities through competitive conversation and healthy discussion. And today, we witness once again great minds coming together to ignite our creativity and leadership skills. I would also take this opportunity to introduce the panel members for the day. Ms. Hibat Ali, Ms. Nikita Abraham, Ms. Hanna Mariam, Ms. Nidhi Bhatt, Ms. Nausheen Panali, Ms. Amna, Ms. Lillian Biji, and Ms. Anushka. And lastly, I am Tanishka, your host and moderator for this discussion. It is high time we move into the discussion, where we will begin with our first speaker for the day, Ms. Hibat Ali. Hibat holds an excellent academic as well as athletic record, having achieved several medals in the CBSE cluster and holding a leading role in the organizing team of the Curiosity Expo held at MES. Hibat, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tanishka. A family doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be united. A very warm good morning to one and all present here. As we all know that the COVID-19 pandemic that we are going through is extremely devastating and frustrating. But let's just look at the bright side of what this pandemic and quarantine made us realize. It made us realize the fact that apart from our phones and gadgets that surround us all the time, we're actually part of a real family that are humans and not characters from a non-existent world, or more specifically, a digital world. The entire world is experiencing a shutdown. We are quarantined and we are scared for our safety like never before. However, for those sheltering in place with family, they've got the best opportunity for connection. And while we are isolated from the world at large, we are indoors and physically closer to the ones we love, remembering the value of bonding with family. In the current situation, we're all stressed, and family becomes the necessary support. We can share our problems and worries, though it might differ from one person to the other, depending on each member's age and profession, and that would just give us things to relate to. And also, our worry is lessened when we know everyone's got problems. They're just different for everyone. Maybe those things that worried us would become something we bond on and laugh about later. According to a survey conducted by Mumple in the UK, 4 in 5 parents believe that their families have formed an even stronger bond, since parents and kids have more time to spend together. Apart from this, 45% have formed book clubs and read together. 30% have participated in family gardening. 17% have enjoyed practicing sports and maintaining good health with family. And another 8% have enjoyed other indoor activities. There is always more than a way to keep a strong bond with our family and to enjoy family time. We could teach our family something new, such as a game or so, and maybe talk about how our games change with time. Spending quality time while baking together, listening to music and vibing to it together. Also, now let me ask you a question. How many of you had dinner with your family? Many of you would answer with yesterday or maybe the day before. So, being able to have dinner with the whole family together on one single table is something most of us should be really grateful about. It's also important that we be mindful of the challenges we are facing. Try to understand one another, whether we agree or disagree with the other person's perspective. Spending more time with each member would give us a better idea of their personality, and we will be less likely to hurt them with our words or actions. Thinking of all this bonding, this would be the only time that we actually cherished and valued the importance of a family, and how being close to our family in such times isn't as cheesy and weird as it might seem to some other people who haven't experienced it before. There will always be a day in our lifetime when we look back at the past and remember all those moments and memories that we spent during quarantine, which indeed made our family have a really strong bond. Thank you, one and all, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Hibat, for throwing us great insight on family bonding. We would now like to leave the floor open for any questions on this.
Thank you, Tanishka. Good morning. My name is Feba George, and I'm from class 12J. Long periods of enclosure together test the relationship. It will either make them or break them. While most of the families have their things sorted out, there are the others who aren't fortunate enough to have such happy surroundings around them. This could potentially lead them to losing the ability to make healthy decisions. I think such conditions will be a toxic environment for a child who is growing up. So, Ms. Hibatali, I'm very much curious to know your take on this matter.
Thank you, Priva. That was an excellent question. I think everyone has their own justification as of why their relationship might be falling apart. But as you said, it's all about giving your very best and fighting for the things that matter to us the most. Some things that I think should work are, firstly, accepting the fact that we have differences in opinion, which shouldn't be ignored, but overcome instead. Secondly, rebuild the lost trust and mutual understanding by trying to focus on the common points rather than the differences. Thirdly, find areas of interest such as hobbies or skills you can pick up with the family and try to bond over anything the family and the child would find interesting. To add to all of this, there is now a wider platform for such families to get help, especially with the arrival of online therapy sessions, which can definitely help the parents to work things out between themselves and provide for the child a more homely and safer environment. Thank you, and I hope that would answer your question.
Thank you. That was Ms. Hibat Ali on the subtopic family bonding during the pandemic. It is time to welcome our second speaker, Ms. Nikita Abraham. Nikita holds several athletic awards, being the captain of the hockey team and a champion in the clusters. She has also won the title of Honorable Mention in the Open Hacks Virtual Hackathon held in May. Nikita, please enlighten us with your speech.
Thank you, Kanishka. Good morning, one and all. While the lockdown is challenging for many, it has been about picking up a new hobby or skill or going back to something that they were missing for long. Many people across the world are using their time productively to create a positive change. The majority of people report to be coping fine or quite well with the loss of their usual routine, with almost half of them spending more time than usual being active, using the time to learn a new skill, extending from using instruments or rediscovering an old one to learn a new language. The lockdown provides time to introspect and identify the areas of improvement. Learning what's necessary and along due can add a new dimension to your personal and professional life. For working professionals who are used to the hustle of work life, living under a mandated lockdown can have a significant impact on their inner self. This is also a suitable opportunity for the children to go beyond academics, to lead a fulfilling life. Encouraging children to participate in an easy household activity or learning something new to understand values like teamwork, involvement, and collaboration. Assigning them tasks can also impart a sense of independence, responsibility, and accomplishment. The development of these skills will help students find new ways of thinking, problem solving, and build confidence. Several organizations are encouraging their workforce to start learn digital and take courses that enhance their functional expertise. Professionals who struggle developing their soft skills can vastly improve their technical and behavioral skills as well. Teachers have also learned a very new way of doing things, which has acquired creativity and the development of new resources. They're being more creative and inventive when it comes to lesson planning and problem solving. These new skills and abilities will make a positive impact on their future teaching when they are face to face with the students again. It has also been a chance to reflect on what truly makes a good teaching. Thus, the positive impact is about realizing this when they return to school. Well, the current times are not easy for anyone. It can be especially hard for the young minds brimming with energy, enthusiasm, and ideas. It is also vital to ensure that this vigor is channeled appropriately while also learning something new, exciting, and meaningful. Through effective tools that focus on holistic growth and nurturing human values, we can ensure that we are able to emerge out of this crisis feeling emotionally stronger, mentally healthier, and better equipped to manage the habits of the real world. From rekindling an old hobby to picking up a new skill, lockdown is bringing the unknown artist in many of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita, for enlightening us on the values of emotional strength. We would be taking questions now.
Thank you, Tanishka. Good morning. I am Aisha Khan from 12P. So, when lockdown started, every creative person thought it's the perfect time or opportunity to really hone in on our skills and create more. A lot of us got straight to work initially, but ended up putting too much pressure on ourselves. Do you think that this mindset can get destructive in a way? Because we see lots of artists these days getting upset that they can't get as much work done as they were hoping to. How do you think creative people can continue to push themselves and challenge themselves in this competitive world while also maintaining good mental health?
Thank you, Aisha, for the question. A surplus amount of freedom makes a person free, but at the same time, it makes it shackled too. Any person or any passion that overwhelmingly takes over a person will leave them not taking proper care of themselves, including their emotional and human needs. So having a healthy balance between work and leisure is much more important in this lockdown period. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an excellent analysis by Ms. Nikita Abraham. Please welcome our third speaker, Ms. Hanna Mariam. Hanna has secured a high rank in the AISS examination held last year and achieved several prizes in various literary and cultural competitions in and out of our school. Hanna, please take it away.
Thank you, Tanishka. Resilience can help us get through and overcome hardships. But resilience is not something with which we are born with. It gets built over time as the experiences we have interact with our own individual genetic makeup. That's why we all respond to stress and adversities like that from the COVID-19 pandemic differently. Good morning, one and all. The coronavirus disease, 2K19, or the COVID-19 have proved to be stressful for people. Fear and anxiety about a new disease and what could happen can be overwhelming and cause strong emotions in children as well as in adults. Public healthcare measures such as social distancing can make people feel isolated and lonely and can increase stress and anxiety. However, these actions are necessary to reduce the spread of COVID-19. If a scroll through your social media feed or a quick look at your favorite news outlet each morning triggers sweaty palms, a racing heart, and other feelings of panic, then you're not alone. The stress in our whole world is overwhelming. Though physical health is of top concern as we anxiously check for news on COVID-19 containment, we are also worrying about financial fallout, job loss, school and work closures, grief, and uncertainty regarding what the future holds. Given wide-scale orders for sheltering in places, social distancing, school and work closures, people of all ages are at risk for loneliness, stress, anxiety, depression, and increased substance abuse. Children are likely to be experiencing worry, anxiety, and fear. And this fear can be similar to what is experienced by adults, such as fear of dying, fear of losing loved ones, and fear of what it means to receive medical treatment. If schools are closed as a part of necessary measures, then children may no longer have access to that sense of structure and stimulation that is provided by that environment. And now, as they have less opportunity to be with their friends and get that social support that is essential for their good mental well-being. It's hard for everyone, but one cannot completely give it into emotions. We have to draw lessons from the current situation and work on overcoming it. One should be mindful about their physical as well as mental health. Finally, connect with others and strengthen relationships. Think positively and be positive. Life changes in a very positive way if you let it to be. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you. A great job by Ms. Hanna on providing us with such details on resilience. We would now be taking questions on this.
Thank you, Tanishka. I'm Kulsum. Good morning, everyone, from class 12I. My question is, I feel like this is not only a pandemic, but also an infodemic as well. So how do I stay informed while keeping my anxiety from skyrocketing when everywhere I look, the coronavirus is there?
Thank you, Kulsum, for the question. COVID-19 have been stressful for people. However, we can reduce our anxiety by following certain measures. First of all, limit exposure to news media. Constant news about COVID-19 from all types of media can heighten our fear. Secondly, stay busy by focusing more on positive thoughts. Thirdly, relax and recharge. Set aside time for yourself. Even a few minutes of quiet time can be refreshing and help to quiet your mind and reduce anxiety. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Ms. Hanna Mariam illuminating us on the subtopic resilience. Moving on to our fourth speaker for the day. Please welcome Ms. Nidhi Bhatt. Nidhi is a model athlete with participations ranging from football, handball, athletics, swimming, and hockey. Nidhi is also a national qualified swimmer and part of the elite swim club. The floor is yours, Miss.
Thank you, Tanushka. Saving a life just got much more important than savoring a lifestyle. Good morning, teachers and my dear friends. COVID-19 or coronavirus has impacted a lot of aspects of normal human life, and one of the most particular one is restricting socializing. We as humans feed and crave human contact, so when we are forced to stay within our boundaries, our body reacts in certain ways. Recent studies have shown that social distancing and isolation is having significant impacts on people's mental health and emotional well-being. Social distancing is leading to heightened feelings of anxiety and depression amongst the general public. People in low paid or insecure occupations experience the greatest impact. The study also provides early evidence on how people might behave after the current lockdown ends, something that will influence how much and how quickly COVID-19 will continue to spread. The idea of long-term social distancing is daunting, especially for parents who have now become their children's main outlet for social interactions. In fact, as we prepare for a longer period of social distancing, many parents may be wondering how all this time away from others could affect the social development of their kids. Social development has important impacts at all ages, but for the purpose of social distancing, the kids who are likely to suffer the most are in late childhood and adolescence. For kids under 5, social distancing proves to be of great advantage. Just having parents at home to attach to 24/7, we may come out of this and realize we have a lot of kids who now have really healthy attachment styles. But for the older kids, adolescents, it gets more complicated, particularly the longer social distancing goes on. I would like to conclude by saying that every interaction you have is an opportunity to make a positive impact on others, and social distancing is restricting just the same. Although one moment of patience may ward off greater disaster, one moment of impatience may ruin a whole life. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi, for your thorough analysis on the restrictive social distancing. We would now be welcoming any questions on this.
Good morning. I'm Afi Umar from class 12N and I have a question. We have come through certain news recently that domestic violence against women and children and many more tragedies has started to take the surface and is actually increasing day by day. Do you think social distancing helped us in this situation?
Thank you, Afia, for the question. No, most definitely it has not helped. Social distancing in these cases of domestic violence during lockdown has at least increased to 15 to 20% as victims are trapped at home with their abusers. So many victims might not have any resources to reach out to their friends, relatives, which in turn might also lead to increase in suicide rates. So if you're asking the question whether social distancing has helped domestic violence, my answer is no. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Ms. Nidhi Bhatt with an edifying speech on social distancing. Let us welcome our fifth speaker today, Ms. Nausheen Panali. Nausheen is certified in iOS Managing Safety and has also received certificates in the GCC Math Challenge and the CPD Project Management. Nausheen, the floor is yours.
Good morning, respected authorities, teachers, and my dear friends. I'm Nosheen Panali, and I'm here to speak about the self-reliant post-COVID world. It seems to be weathering the storm, while the coronavirus pandemic has dealt a severe blow to the global economy and trade. The initial reaction of the market so far has been similar, as illustrated in the graph. While many businesses across the world are seeking new opportunities to survive the crisis with creativity, self-reliance, and adjustments to local conditions. The multifaceted effects of the COVID-19 pandemic are and will be staggering in the coming days. The subtle balance between protecting lives and restarting economies is hard to strike, and navigating this complex odyssey with great agility, sensitivity, and tenacity. The challenge has engendered a spirit of solidarity and unity. It has shown yet again how resilient we can collectively be. It is aiming to discover new possibilities, spurring inclusive, equitable growth, to discover new value chains that would create wealth, and to harness the untapped human potential and optimally utilize the natural resources. It is embarking on a mission that would make the country self-reliant. Governments around the world have pledged billions of dollars for the COVID-19 vaccine and treatment options. A number of pharmaceutical firms are in a race to develop and test potential drugs that could help nations get back to normal. Lastly and importantly, the appeal for self-reliance aims at a serious reflection on whether we are making the best use of our natural, human, and technological resources. It seeks to galvanize our unused and hidden potential. It only underlines the need to be on our own with respect to basic and core necessities based on our ability to meet them with our known available resources and technologies. Thank you for listening to me patiently and have a great day ahead.
Thank you for this informative analysis, Nosheen. Any questions will be welcome now.
Thank you, Tanishka. I would like to ask a question to Ms. Nausheen. Good morning. I'm Nilina Listen from class 12K. If most of the countries try to be self-reliant, how will this affect the new MNCs which are coming up?
That's a nice question, Melina. Well, looking at the GDP and economic downfall for the next 3 years, the chance for the larger international companies to grow into a multinational company itself is very minimum. With various cost-cutting control measures and strategic planning, sustaining within themselves is itself a big challenge. So the chance for the new MNCs are to the minimum expectations. I hope that cleared your question.
Thank you. That was an elevating speech by Ms. Nosheen Panali. It is time to invite our sixth speaker for the day, Ms. Amna. Amna has received the first prize in the QIC MGM competition and was also a part of the National Student Science Congress in 2018. She also had a leading role in organizing the Commerce Exhibition of 2019. Please enlighten us with your speech, Amna.
Thank you, Tanishka. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Good morning, all. I am Amna of class 12O, and I will be speaking on change in lifestyle after the COVID-19 pandemic. With one television announcement, life as we knew it changed dramatically. Commutes to the office, impromptu dashes to the shops, family visits, hugs and handshakes were all removed from our daily list of privileges. The The coronavirus pandemic, which was first brought to our attention when doctors in Wuhan, China, noticed the spreading of a strange new virus, is history-defining. It caused global economic crisis and resulted in the shutting down of schools, restaurants, and businesses. It cost 47 million jobs and sent the unemployment rate past 32%. So eventually, we had to learn how to reduce our expenses, and people learned to live without things they thought they could never live without, such as weekends without going out, weekends without food from outside, etc. They stopped spending on unnecessary items and started realizing their priorities. Before the pandemic, people used to go to the hospital for petty issues, but during the lockdown, we learned to take care of these minor inconveniences by ourselves. So after all this is over, we will be using the hospital resources with care and only when actually needed. People started eating a lot more healthier and increased the intake of nutritious food. Since the gyms have been closed down, people started extracting the benefits of home workouts and will continue to do so as it is found to be more efficient, as it is free, flexible according to their schedule, and gets the work done. It has also made people more aware of sanitizing themselves on a regular basis. There is also going to be a huge change in the traveling and tourism procedures. First off, many governments are considering introducing a new travel document, the immunity passport, a document attesting that its bearer is immune to a contagious disease. Secondly, the surveillance app, which has already been introduced in Qatar, the Ihtaraz. We are required to turn this on while traveling so that the authorities can identify our health status. The lockdown has further had a great impact on the environment. There has been a decrease in the emission of greenhouse gases, so after this ends, we will be welcome to a much cleaner environment, thus promoting a healthier lifestyle. Apart from these, many lifestyle changes that we adopted, such as remote working and learning, more bonding with family and friends, development of new hobbies, etc., will continue to be with us long after this lockdown ends. So in conclusion, often we think we are at the end of something, but we are at the beginning of something better. Thank you.
Thank you, Amna, for the great depth on the positive changes in our lifestyle. The floor is now open to any questions.
Thank you, Tanishka. My name is Antara George. Miss Amna, my question to you is, do you believe that the lifestyle that we're currently being forced to adopt is entirely a setback? Is there anything valuable about our present lifestyle that you would like to see being retained when life goes back to normal?
Thank you, Anne, for the question. It is pretty obvious that we can't live like this without going out and by staying inside these four walls forever. But there are some values that we can take from our present lifestyle. Cleanliness, self-dependence, sustainable usage of resources, checking upon our family and friends on a regular basis, etc., are some values that we should take with us even when this lockdown ends. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. That was Miss Amna on the subtopic Lifestyle Changes During the Pandemic. Moving to our next speaker today, please welcome Miss Lillian Biji. Lillian has received the Judges' Choice Award in the Inter-School Debate Competition and was also a member of the Toastmasters program held in MES. She has also received several medals in the CBSE clusters and is an active sports person. Lillian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tanishka. Respected principal, HOS of different sections, teachers, and my fellow speakers, a very wonderful morning to you all. I, Lillian Biji of Class 12K, will be speaking on the economic crisis that we are currently facing and the reconstruction of our economy. The coronavirus recession is a major global recession which arose as an economic consequence due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Kristalina Georgieva, the director of the International Monetary Fund, said that the world is currently facing the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression of 1930s. I would like to speak on three major areas which will help reboot our economy. Number one is through unemployment. Restrictions on daily life have led to the closure of many companies and laying off of staff. This outbreak is expected to wipe out about 6.7% of working hours, and that is equivalent to 195 million full-time workers losing their jobs. Now, how can we recover from this mass unemployment? Here are a few steps that the government can take. One, they need to ensure that people's basic economic security is not so tightly linked to their employment. Two, they need to focus on boosting job quality as well as quantity. This can be done by approaching a number of low-wage workers through policy interventions. And number three, they need to ensure that the resulting job growth is widely shared among different sectors, regions, communities, and workers. Number two, travel and tourism. The United Nations World Tourism Organization estimated that the global international tourist arrivals might decrease by 20 to 30%, leading to a potential loss of about 30 to 50 billion US dollars. Few methods to boost our economy through this industry is by one, offering financial support to tourism companies. Two, preparing marketing and promotional campaigns. Countries such as Cancun in Mexico and Greece have decided to offer 2 nights free stay in order to increase their tourism rates. Number three is to provide structured support for airlines, and this can be done by offering flight tickets at a more reasonable price. And lastly, globalization. Coronavirus has disrupted the global value chain that connects producers across multiple countries. According to the Chinese custom statistics, the Chinese exports have fallen by 17.2% and the imports have slowed down by 4%. Few steps countries can take to recover from this are: one, by removing tariff and non-tariff barriers, there will be an ease in the imports and exports, which will help in turn more investment. Number two is by increasing the flow of foreign capital. Due to the increase in foreign investment, there will be an overall growth rate in the GDP of countries. And lastly is by the optimum utilization of the world resources. To overcome this pandemic, we need a globally coordinated health and economic policy. Let us all work together to emerge out of this crisis. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, Lillian, for your insight on the economic aspect of this topic. It is now time to take questions on this.
Thank you, Tanishka. Good morning, everybody. My name is Huda Ashraf, and I'm from class 12O. Miss Lillian, my question for you is, how do you think the economic crises can be handled in the post-COVID world?
Thank you for your question. In addition to all the points that I have already mentioned in my speech, the recovery from this crisis depends on two more factors. Number one, how long this pandemic is going to last, and two, how quickly we can recover in the second half of 2020. The government also need to play an active role in ensuring that proper policies and schemes are provided to the public, as well as making strategic investments for the betterment of its citizens. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you. That was a wonderful speech on the reconstruction of the economy after the pandemic by Ms. Lillian Biji. Please welcome our last speaker today, Ms. Anushka. Anushka is an active dance participant and has received several prizes, such as the first prize in the inter-school dance competition held for Qatar National Day, the third prize for the dance contest in ICC, and the second for Bharatnatyam in the Youth Festival. Anushka, please take it away.
Thank you, Tanishka. Good morning to one and all present here. Today, I, Anushka Sumesh, would like to speak on the topic, the challenges faced in the field of education during COVID-19. We are living amidst what is potentially one of the greatest threats to global education, a gigantic educational crisis. COVID-19 has brought about a lagging phase in the field of education, particularly to those who are waiting to start their higher education. A study has shown that about 20,000 higher educational institutions have been closed down, affecting the learning opportunities of more than 2 lakh students worldwide. This pandemic have caused disruption in the assessment and end-of-year examinations and have delayed most of the entrance examinations, which have disturbed the study progression, graduation, study trajectories of many students. Admission procedures are also seriously affected. There has been a significant decline in the enrollment of students in the universities and institutions. According to the researchers, about 10% of the college community students reduced their enrollment intensity compared to 6% in the prior years. The study also showed that new enrollments in 2020 are far below the previous years. Restrictions on travel, immigration, visa will remain in place for a long time, thus cutting off student mobility. Asian students now have started to opt for regional opportunities instead of US, UK, or other European countries. Each level of education faces its own challenges. And now, moving on to our life, that is the school education. About 80% of the world student population, that is nearly 1.3 billion children and youth, have been affected by the school closures in about 143 countries. Though many schools have switched on to online education systems, it has its own challenges. It has a very negative impact on equity. Disadvantaged students are particularly affected. A large section of the society are financially backward and cannot afford good quality smartphones or laptops, which is a necessity for such systems of education. As a result, the learning gap between the poor and the rich widens. Teachers and students are also at high risks of gaining health problems. Due to the continuous exposure to such screens, they start experiencing signs of social isolation, which is caused due to lack of human communication, which in turn leads to social health issues such as heightened stress, anxiety, depression, and negative thoughts. Education is not complete until a student is physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually developed. And in the present situation, without social interaction and physical activities, it cannot be completed. Though there are many challenges faced in the field of education, education is a ray of light in the darkness. It is the most important weapon that can change one's life, and it determines the quality of an individual's life. Now, it can be seen that most of the students have started to adapt and cooperate well to the present situation for the continuity of education without any interruption. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Anushka, for providing us with such an in-depth analysis on the educational challenges. We will now be taking a last question for this forum.
Thank you, Tanishka. Good morning. I'm Crystal from 12K. Ms. Anushka, my question to you is, in what ways do you think distance learning can support a student's moral growth on a long-term basis?
Thank you, Crystal, for the question. Distance learning is more student-centered and more self-learning. This makes the student feel more important and responsible. This responsibility in a long run will bring in ethical aspects towards learning and handling of technologies. Distance learning will also make a student self-dependent, self-reliant, and self-disciplined and more focused person in a long run, which in turn will lead to his or her moral growth. Hope I have given a clear answer to your question. Thank you.
Thank you. That was our last speaker, Ms. Anushka, with an enlightening speech on the education system during this pandemic. As the last speaker concludes, I'm sure everyone here has gained valuable information and new insights into the different and little explored sides of this pandemic. It is certain that this virus has brought many challenges to the people, with economies struggling worldwide, small business closing down, the medical professionals drained of exhaustion, and the simple fact that social distancing is not just 6 feet for some people. But it also shows a different side, a positive side, one where we see humanity coming together to help strangers stay safe, to provide food and shelter to those who cannot afford it, and most importantly, cherishing the time we have with our loved ones, because we know now of how precious it is. On this note, I would like to invite our chief guest, Principal Mrs. Hamida Khader, to address the session. Ma'am, please.
Good morning to everyone. At the outset, I congratulate all the participants for showing enormous interest in participating in the panel discussion entitled The World During and After the Pandemic COVID-19. In fact, the topic has all the relevance to the present ongoing scenario, which has restricted us to meet only online platforms and limiting our physical meetings and interactions. To be honest, the pandemic has left many disruptive impacts on the way people, cities, and the world itself lives and moves. Schools and children are also no exception to the onslaught caused by the pandemic. In the challenging condition as well as a time of uncertainty which everyone is going through, it is essential for us to take stock of the situation and learn the lesson from the horrific reminders that the pandemic has left for us. It's also a testing time that tests our level of endurance, patience, and our ability to empathize with fellow human beings, disciplining us to lead a safe life. For example, hundreds of thousands of employees have, through necessity, discovered new ways to work using technology. It's no denying fact that the present adverse situation has also brought into the silver lining in terms of remarkable improvements in the world environment and its sustainability, thus giving us a precious lesson to live amicably with every living being and non-living organisms. Also, be optimistic that the present newfound lifestyle impacted by COVID is only an option and surely not a solution. As the situation improves and things get normal, there is a possibility of a renewed life with a new approach towards life. Once again, I wholeheartedly congratulate all the participants and the organizing committee and heads of sections for coming out with a thought-provoking panel discussion, which is indeed a feast for ears and eyes. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for those generous words. I take this opportunity to invite our guest of honor, Mrs. Annama Shami, Vice Principal, Head of Girls Section, to address the session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Tanishka. A pleasant morning to everyone. First of all, my hearty congratulations to all the panelists for the wonderful presentation. Just as our principal ma'am mentioned, so the topic that you have selected is quite relevant, and also your presentation was quite refreshing and thought-provoking. Each one of you have analyzed the situation correctly and presented your ideas in a novel way. So you have also tried to approach the situation in an with optimism and analyze it properly. And also we appreciate your confidence. So we are sure that you will be an asset to our society. Dear children, we are proud of you. Wish you all the very best. And let me appreciate the efforts taken by the teachers to train the students. And also my special gratitude to our beloved principal for being with us to encourage our students. Once again, congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for those enlightening words. I would now like to invite Mrs. Rama Devi to take over the proceedings. Ma'am, please.
Now it's time to honor and appreciate our spirited and articulate participants with certificates. Miss Hibat Ali, Miss Nikita Abraham, Miss Hanna Mariam, Miss Nidhi Bhatt, Miss Nausheen Panali, Miss Amna, Miss Lillian Biji, Miss Anushka Sumesh, Miss Tanishka, Miss Nihan Kader, Miss Feba George, Miss Afia Umar, Miss Anne Sarah George, Miss Omu Kulsum, Miss Crystal Elsa Shaji, Miss Nilina Lizen, Miss Aisha Salam Khan, and Miss Huda Ashraf. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I would now like to invite Miss Nihan Kader to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Anushka. Good morning, everyone. I deem it my honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion. First and foremost, I express my sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Mrs. Hamida Kader, Principal, MES Indian School, under whose leadership every venture we undertake turns into a success. I take this opportunity to thank our guest of honor, Mrs. Annamma Shami, Vice Principal and Head of Section Girls, for being our constant source of inspiration. I would also like to thank Vice Principal and Head of Section Boys, Mr. Mohammed Ilyas, Head of Section Junior, Mrs. Sumaya Nasser, Head of Section KG, Mrs. Lalita Srinivas, and the school officials for gracing this occasion with their presence. My sincere thanks goes to our beloved teachers for their constant guidance and encouragement. I'll be failing in my duty if I don't thank our panelists who have enlightened us with their views and made this session very meaningful. I wholeheartedly thank Mr. Harun and our ICT team for their technical support. Finally, I would like to thank my dear friends for making this function a resounding success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Nihan. I hope everyone today had an enriching session. Thank you and goodbye.